Hi, everybody, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 4 of Power Networking Media's weekly feature program, Spotlight on Small Business. I'm your host, Moshe Klein. Spotlight on Small Business introduces you to successful small business owners who share content and information that you don't want to miss. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome my friend and networking partner, Jess Jorgensen. Jess is the owner and chief technology geek, her choice of words, not mine, at Blush Technology Group. Jess, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Moshe. Yes, geek is definitely a compliment in my world.
I think so too, but I just want to get on the record as so people know I wasn't insulting you. I was complimenting you.
Of
Yes,
course.
we network a lot and we network a lot with other small business owners. There's so much that we could talk about, but in 5, 6, 7 minutes, we're not going to be able to squeeze it all in. So let me ask you up front, will you return again to continue the discussion? But today I'd like to focus on technology for small business owners working from home. How does that sound?
Absolutely. That sounds great.
Awesome. One of the things I'm hearing, and I must be honest with you, that I'm struggling with it as well, internet connection, technology, the camera, the microphone, and so many other things that we never imagined we'd have to think about from home. What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you advising your clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that really is the bulk of most of the conversations I have with my clients on a daily basis. So, residential internet was not built for us all to be working from our home offices. It just was never meant to accommodate the type of speeds and the information and data that we're pulling across those connections. So there are certain ways to improve your internet connections for sure. As far as speed goes, that's usually like the first thing people go to. Like, I'm having issues with this video conference. I must need more speed. Sometimes that's the answer, but sometimes it's not. So, what I think that working from home has really normalized are some of the enterprise solutions that I looked at for my clients and big corporate environments previously that have been adapted to accommodate our home office users so that they can get the best experience possible. So there's a couple things you can do. One, you can add a secondary connection, which I think, Moshe, is something that is helping you as well. There are other components to your internal network. So if you consider when you walked into your old office, there was an IT guy there, and his whole responsibility was to ensure that all the people could get to all the places they need to be on the internet all the time. You're your own IT guy now, which hasn't been a lot of fun for a lot of folks. What you need to consider are there tools like bandwidth optimization that can be layered on your router or as a separate device to not only take those maybe two internet connections you might now have to get the appropriate speed you need, but but say that Zoom is my priority. My voice over IP phone calls from my hosted provider are my priority. And so these applications allow you either in a device form or in a software form to say, these are the things that need the highest priority in my household so that we can have school, conduct business, have clear phone calls and clear video conferences. And everything else in my house that needs an internet connection must be dialed down. And if there's any sort of degradation of service, I want it to impact my, Google Home or my Alexa devices or my Nest devices, things like that that aren't so impacted by the moving and shaking of the packets that need to go across for clear communication. So number one is internet optimization, right, in the form of bandwidth for your home office. There's also a couple of things on cameras and tools. So there's a lot of these accessories, if you will, that were really kind of reserved for big budgets and corporate folks. So things like the headsets that we wear, the special microphones that we have, or the HD, video cameras that a lot of folks just didn't know how to get or that they needed to enhance things. So I think folks are learning about the tools that make things better. And it's just a matter of creating your own space, right? I think in a corporate environment, they said, here's your computer, here's your workspace, here's your phone, this is how you do it. And now you're at home and you're like, well, I get to choose. hmm, I
Let
prefer
me
this kind of headset. You prefer an over the head, external microphones. There's just a lot of components, and that's overwhelming to folks who really just want to get some work done in the day. So there's a lot of
Jess,
tools that help.
you have touched on so many important things. Each one is deserving of its own hour-long discussion. But you see, you made me think, and I was taking notes while you were talking, you made me think of a corporate environment. If you're an employee, you have a Jess Jorgensen built in over there, and it's called an IT department or
Mhm.
network support. But all of us small business owners working at home need to bring you into our homes to help us to get set up. Things we never had to think about before, we're thinking about now. It's on the job training or trial by fire. Let me pull on one thread because we're quickly running out of time. You did reference the trouble I was having toward the end of last year in my home office with internet bandwidth and connectivity. So I did indeed have a second committed router installed in my home office. One thing, though, that I learned when the technician came here, and I'm going to ask you about if you recommend that for other small business owners with the same issue, he said, not only are you doing the right thing by having an extra router installed, but I'm going to recommend you connect your computer to the Ethernet. Now,
Yes.
it was so simple that it was brilliant because back in the day when I used to travel, we used to check into a hotel and they would have that little yellow cord there. Nobody had Wi-Fi. So
Mhm.
what do you think about that? Can you talk briefly about your recommendations?
Absolutely. That is important. So consider in my house, because I am a geek, I have a enterprise level Wi-Fi, right? Like I have a real access point like you would put in someone's office. Most folks don't have that kind of capability. So your Wi-Fi is going to be your lowest common denominator from a speed perspective. And you have to consider where that might be pulling everything down. So I definitely recommend plugging in fully anytime you can, unless you have a super fantastic external, not the kind of Wi-Fi that's built into the router that you get from your cable company, but something that is, uh, you know, controllable outside of that, that allows for a higher speed, a higher density of devices. I probably have like 60 devices in my house that are connected to my internet, and a lot of people's homes are similar. The difference is I have that kind of enterprise class Wi-Fi. So get something you can control and plug in whenever ever possible. You'll get the best speed for your buck with that.
Well, Jess, all I can say is thank you, and we're out of time, regretfully, because you've offered so much information in such a short amount of time. We are definitely going to have you back often. But Jess, I know that many of our viewers, after hearing you speak and hearing your excellent guidance, are going to want to connect with you for a free and confidential consultation. What's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Absolutely. I am happy to help. So you can email me at info@blushtechnologies.com. You can also go straight to my website, which is blushtechnologies.com, and schedule a meeting based on what your schedule looks like with me directly. And we can have that deeper dive conversation just to understand how I can help. I'm here to help.
Oh, and you do help me as a satisfied client. I'm giving you a shameless shout out. But this has been another enjoyable and productive episode of Spotlight on Small Business with our guest today, Jess Jorgensen, owner and chief technology geek at Blush Technologies. Jess, thanks again for taking time out of your busy schedule. Be sure to tune in to another episode every week of Spotlight on Small Business. You and your small business will be glad that you did. Until then, good luck and good networking, everybody.